God calls us to awaken him. How will he find us when he comes?
Awake and ready.
And when he asks us to dedicate our lives more perfectly, how will he find us?
Awake and ready. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Friend, beloved God,
Friend, beloved God,
Masters of self-realization,
Masters of self-realization,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Babaji Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Swami Sri Yukteswar,
Swami Sri Yukteswar,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
Saints of all religions,
Saints of all religions,
humbly we bow before you.
Humbly we bow before you.
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
expand our consciousness
expand our consciousness
from the limitations
from the limitations
of egoic identity. Help us evermore
Help us evermore
relate to a greater reality,
relate to a greater reality,
that thy light might shine through us,
that thy light might shine through
that
us,
thy power of joy,
that thy power of joy,
thy power of goodness
thy power of goodness
might radiate through this world.
might radiate through this world.
Om. Peace.
Peace.
Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated.
Song today is The Philosopher and the Boatman. We want to watch too. The way to perfection is narrow and steep. The bypaths are many, the pitfalls are deep. By theory alone, many think to arrive. Here's one who could teach them if he were alive. A philosopher stepped into a boat, the river to cross would he. So learned was he thought no man could be half so clever as he. Singing wise-o with his book-so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise-o with his book-so, such a mighty scholar was he.
To the boatman he says,
Good man, pray tell, of the German philosophers three, Schopenhauer, Hegel, and Goethe, Kant, whom you deem the wisest to be.
singing wise-o with his book-so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise-o with his book-so, such a mighty scholar was he.
Please excuse me, sir.
The boatman said,
I've not read your philosophers three. All day I'm obliged to ply these oars to support my family and me.
singing wise-o with his book-so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise-o with his book-so, such a mighty scholar was he.
In that case, my good man, your wretched life is as good as a quarter lost. Why, without the writings of those three men, not a shelf of books would I trust.
Singing wise-o with his book-so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise-o with his book-so, such a mighty scholar was he.
Now then tell me, good man,
The scholar said,
have you studied the Frenchman, Descartes?
I've told you before.
the other cried,
I'm unschooled. Hard work is my art.
singing wise-o with his book-so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise-o with his book-so, such a mighty scholar was he.
Hard work, what a waste! Sad, foolish man. Hath your life has been thrown away, yet still a fragment might be redeemed. Memorize one theory a day.
Singing wise-o with his books-o, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise-o with his books-o, such a mighty scholar was he. Of a sudden a storm with raging might did lash that river to foam. Like a drifting pebble it tossed their boat till it seemed they'd never get home. Singing wise-o with his books-o, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise-o with his books-o, such a mighty scholar was he.
Then the boatman cried,
My learned sir, our chances are growing dim. 2 questions you've put me so far this trip. Now I'll ask you one. Can you swim? Singing wise-o with his books-o, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise-o with his books-o, such a mighty scholar was he.
I can't swim a slope!
the philosopher cried as he clung in despair to an oar.
And the whole of your life is lost, my friend. You'll not need those books anymore. Singing wise-o with his books-o, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise-o with his books-o, such a mighty scholar was he. The boatman regrets to say his fare never reached the opposite bank. All that ponderous learning inside his head gave him weight, you see, and he sang. Singing wise-o with his books-o, such a weighty scholar was he. Singing wise-o with his books-o, such a weighty scholar was he. La 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 la.
Well, you'll hear. And then, what is this life? So.
2 verses of each line on the, we'll sing twice. We'll repeat each line on this and really get into it. This is the most yang chant that we have here. It's just to blaze away all obstacles to nothing. None can atone me, say, who would injure me. None can atone me, say, who would injure me. The world turns aside to make room for me. The world turns aside to make room for me. I come, O blazing light, the shadows must flee. I come, O blazing light, the shadows must flee. Hail, O ye ocean, divide up and part. Hail, O ye ocean, divide up and part. Or parched up and scorched up, be dried up, depart. Or parched up and scorched up, be dried up, depart. None can atone me, say, who would injure me. None can atone me, say, who would injure me. Beware, O ye mountains, stand not in my way. Beware, O ye mountains, stand not in my way. Your ribs will be shattered and tattered today. Your ribs will be shattered and tattered today. Friends and counselors, pray waste not your breath. Friends and counselors, pray waste not your breath. Take up my orders, devour up ye death. Take up my orders, devour up ye death. None can atone me, say, who would injure me. None can atone me, say, who would injure me. I ride on the tempest, astride on the gale. I ride ride on the tempest, astride on the gale. My gun is the lightning, my shots never fail. My gun is the lightning, my shots never fail. I chase as a huntsman, I eat as I seize. I chase as a huntsman, I eat as I seize. The trees and the mountains, the land and the seas. The trees and the mountains, the land and the seas. None can atone me, say who would injure me. None can atone me, say who would injure me. I hitch to my chariot the fates and the gods. I hitch to my chariot the fates and the gods. In the voice of thunder proclaim it abroad. In the voice of thunder proclaim it abroad. Howl, O ye winds, blow, bugles, blow free. Howl, O ye winds, blow, bugles, blow free. Liberty, 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 home. Liberty, liberty. Let's do it again. None can atone me, say who would injure me. None can atone me, say who would injure me. The world turns aside to make room for me. The world turns aside to make room for me. I come, O blazing light, the shadows must flee. I come, O blazing light, the shadows must flee. Hail, O ye ocean, divide up and part. Hail, O ye ocean, divide up and part. Or parched up and scorched up, be dried up, depart. Or parched up and scorched up, be dried up, depart. None can atone me, say who would injure me. None can atone me, say who would injure me. Beware, O ye mountains, stand not in my way. Beware, O ye mountains, stand not in my way. Your ribs will be shattered and tattered today. Your ribs will be shattered and tattered today. Friends and counselors, pray waste not your breath. Friends and counselors, pray waste not your breath. Take up my orders, devour up ye death. Take up my orders, devour up ye death. None can atone me, say who would injure me. None can atone me, say who would injure me. I ride on the tempest, astride on the gale. I ride on the tempest, astride on the gale. My gun is the lightning, my shots never fail. My gun is the lightning, my shots never fail. I chase as a huntsman, I eat as I seize. I chase as a huntsman, I eat as I seize. The trees and the mountains, the land and the seas. The trees and the mountains, the land and the seas. None can atone me, say who would injure me. None can atone me, say who would injure me. I hitch to my chariot the fates and the gods. I hitch to my chariot the fates and the gods. In the voice of thunder proclaim it abroad. In the voice of thunder proclaim it abroad. Howl, O ye winds, blow, bugles, blow free. Howl, O ye winds, blow, bugles, blow free. Liberty, 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 om. Liberty, 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 om. Liberty, 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 om. Liberty, 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 home. Liberty, 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 home. Liberty, 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 home. Well done. It's a hard one to follow, but we're going to. Give me a chord there. What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? In In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om.
It's a good time for any children.
This reading, as is usual, is from Rays of the One Light, Weekly Commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda.
What number is it?
It's 36.
36. Ego, friend or foe. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Yogananda. Jesus Christ begins his Beatitudes with these words, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." To be poor in spirit in such a way as to merit the kingdom of heaven doesn't mean to be poor-spirited. Rather, it means to see oneself as owning nothing, since all belongs to God, for all is manifestation of his consciousness. St. John of the Cross wrote, "If you would own everything, seek to own nothing. That which the ego relinquishes, offering it up to soul consciousness, is reclaimed forever in cosmic consciousness. Nothing is ever lost." Paramahansa Yogananda tells the story in Autobiography of a Yogi of the levitating saint, Bharuri Mahashaya. "Master," said a disciple of the saint once ardently, "you are wonderful. You have renounced riches and comforts to seek God and to teach us wisdom." It was well known that Madhuri Mahashaya had forsaken great family wealth in his early childhood when single-mindedly he entered the yogic path. "You are reversing the case." The saint's face held mild rebuke. "I have left a few paltry rupees, a few petty pleasures, for a cosmic empire of endless bliss. How then have I denied myself anything? I know the joy of sharing the treasure. Is that a sacrifice?" The short-sighted worldly folks are verily the real renunciates. They relinquish an unparalleled divine possession for a poor handful of earthly toys. The Bhagavad Gita in the 3rd chapter states, "All things are everywhere by nature wrought in interaction of the qualities. The fool, cheated by self, thinks, 'This I did, and that I wrought.' But thou strong-armed prince, a better lessoned mind, knowing the play of visible things within the world of sense, and how the qualities must qualify, standeth aloof even from his acts." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
Everyone, thank you for all that came out this weekend, for the day today, for our Sunday service, for the weekend also. We've been having such a beautiful weekend. About a week ago, the weekend got renamed into something to the effect of rest and recharge, or relax and recharge. Do I have the word? Relax and feel. That's a great principle. Imagine that. We're laughing because if you've learned the energization exercises, they're one of the first things that we learn when we join this path. And Yogananda said they were his unique contribution to science. He created them. And he said, if you were stranded in a desert island with no other techniques, what technique would you pick? And here, I remember the first time I heard this, I go, oh, of course it's Kriya Yoga or, some form of meditation. And he said, it's the energization exercises, because if you can learn to do them the way I taught them, meaning the way Yogananda taught them, then all the other techniques come. With the energization, we learn how to draw in energy that's greater than what we are, which actually really fits perfect with our topic this morning, because who are we really? We think we're this body, but the energization exercises remind us that we're bigger than this. And using our will, using our breathing, using our breath, we can draw in energy that's greater than what we are, cosmic energy, and use it to vitalize our body cells and awaken who we really are. Gosh, it's just perfect for today, actually, the energization. But one of the main principles, there's many principles about how to do them: tense with will, relax and feel. Very important principle. We sometimes can just tense our way through them. I particularly love the energization. I've been practicing them for many years since I first come to the path. And Every time I do them, it's taken years for me to just get a glimmer of really the power of them, and I keep exploring them further. But I had a friend that just said, I don't know why you're so excited about these exercises. I just don't get it. I go, well, tell me about your experience with them. She goes, well, I'm just really all knotted up after I'm done. I go, well, what are you doing? She said, well, I'm tensing the whole way through. And I asked her, I said, are you relaxing and feeling? And she said, no. She completely forgot to do that part. And it's really important as we do the different exercises, tense with will, relax and feel, lift the energy. Same thing in life, tense with will. We give it all we have. And out here at Laurelwood, they've had a big summer. We host a lot of outside retreats. And the thought came, about a week ago for this weekend, have a relax and feel weekend. And so it's been you could say it's been a really joyful weekend, from the kirtan outside to the Seva day at Ananda House yesterday. It was just beautiful. To the many other events, the adventurous hike we had the other day. You could say these really have been glimpses into the astral world, haven't they? And we get those glimpses, right? Whether it's in our meditation, a walk out in nature, whatever it is, a smile, somebody being kind to us that was unexpected, those are glimpses into the astral world. And the masters come to remind us that yes, that astral world is real. It's inside of us. And we can live in that all the time. And again, that's our topic this morning. It's ego, friend or foe. We were listening to some talks on this topic. You can go on ananda.org, and many other colonies have a lot of these Sunday services in their archive, including us. But we were listening to a number of talks this morning in preparation for our Sunday service. And Jyotish was giving this topic, I don't know when, maybe it was a few years ago, but he started the talk for this and he said, boy, this title, Ego, Friend or Foe, sounds like this challenge. Ego, friend or foe, who goes there? Who's the winner? Is it ego or foe? Or, and we can think of it as this battle. We have to battle our ego, we have to knock it down or whatever. But really, we are the ego. Yogananda said the ego is simply the soul identified with the body. We have this personality. We have who we are, the greatnesses and the so-called greatnesses and the so-called things that we think are not that great. But that's not who we really are. We can have fun with those outer things. We can take them lightly. We can smile around them. We could use our talents, what we think we have, all those, and just help others. Offer kindness, offer that smile. But then we can remember, and again, the masters were so brilliant. You read, they all say the same thing. We're all made in the image of God. We're made in that light. We're made in that love. And we're reminded also through this beautiful affirmation on power. We come to the path. It's not this I think I'm going to find God. It's, again, the energization tells us to awaken that power. It takes power to find God. It takes energy. And we're reminded of that, to awaken that deep power, because we have to be strong. I love that we started with that first chant. There was so much power in it. There was so much energy in it. And then the reminder, what's flowing through my veins? It's nothing but divine. What are these thoughts? Nothing but divine. Everything is divine. And we forget that because it gets clouded. And it's easy when it gets clouded, especially here in Oregon, but not this summer. It gets clouded, and it gets dark and gray, and we forget, where's the sun? It's here. It's inside of us. And the masters come and they remind us that there's ways to remember our immortal soul. First one is service. Service is a big part of what we do at Ananda. Labor Day weekend, it's always a tradition to have a day or a period of time dedicated to that service and that seva. And this year we had it at Ananda House, and it was so joyful. Couldn't believe how much fun that was. One, because we were doing it all together, right? We were sharing that energy together. We were doing this service not for ourselves, right? But for this wonderful, we're going to celebrate again Ananda House's birthday this afternoon. And maybe we'll hear some of the history. But we were here to help this beautiful thing that's happening right across the street. That's part of what's happening here. That's part of what the world really needs, is a place where we can honor all generations come together. Hanuman's dream and his vision of Ananda House is really beautiful to hear. But it's through that seva, right? We become more than who we are. Yogananda said, memorize the poem Samadhi, which is an experience of cosmic consciousness. He said, read it every day. Memorize it. Familiarize yourself with it, because that's who we really are. We're not this small thing. We're not what this ego thinks it is. There was this man that was in a restaurant, and he complained that it was way too hot in the restaurant. So he asked the waiter to please turn on the air conditioning. So the waiter turned on the air conditioning. And then not too long later, then it was too cold. So then the customer complained, and he said, will you please have the air conditioner turned down? And the waiter just nodded. And this went on and off, too hot, too cold, for about an hour, right? Sound familiar? And then about an hour later, there was a second customer sitting nearby, and he says, you know, why are you putting up with this? Why don't you just ask this person to leave? And the waiter really sweetly and calmly just smiled. He says, oh, I don't mind. You know, we don't have an air conditioner. just going back and forth. But that's what the ego does. Did you get it? Yeah, there was no air conditioner. And the waiter just smiled. Okay, I'll turn it up. Okay, I'll turn it down. No problem, you know. But we want it to fit in our box. It's too hot. It's too cold. It's whatever it is, right? As long as we live there, we forget, right? But Master Yogananda said, read the poem Samadhi. It's in Whispers from Eternity. Beautiful. And also in the autobiography of a yogi. I was actually, that poem Samadhi Yogananda wrote on a New York City subway. And I was just in New York City last year, or last week, excuse me. And Melissa Hart and I, we went to a gift show for our 2 boutiques at Laurelwood and the Temple. And the subways were going through a lot of turmoil when we were there. I mean, they're just doing a lot of construction on them. And so we would be on our train thinking we're going to get off at our spot, and it just whizzes right by. And we're like, okay, wonder where we'll get off, you know? And then other times it says, okay, well, this train's not working. You got to go find another one. And it was just all of this. But she so sweetly, you know, she just said, you know, wow, I wonder what subway line Yogananda wrote the poem Samadhi on. Maybe we'll get on that train, you know. And I thought, well, that's great, you know, to think, you know, we're that close to the masters. They come again to remind us this is not who we think we are. And it's so close. It takes, Yogananda reminds us, he had a devotee so sweetly say to him, sir, I don't think I have very good karma. And Yogananda got really stern with him. He says it takes very, very, very good karma to even want to know God, to even want to know God. Wow, we have very, very good karma. There's any number of things we could be doing here this afternoon. So besides reading the poem Samadhi, of course, meditation. We talk about meditation all the time, but it helps us to remember to be in that state. Every time we meditate, we're putting another drop in that bucket, you could say, thinking of rain. You just put another drop in that bucket of that remembrance of who we are. Every time we do that, okay, we're connecting again to that reality, that deeper, that we are the immortal soul. I was going to read a story, but I think I won't. But there's a wonderful story in the Bhagavad Gita about a man named Naresh who goes to visit this saint. And the saint asks Naresh, he says, who are you? And Naresh says, I am Naresh. And then the saint asks again, who are you? And Naresh says, I am Naresh. And again, the saint asks him the same thing. And Naresh is like, what's wrong with this guy? Can he not hear? Or is he senile? I am Naresh, you know, I was born in Delhi. My father's this, I'm an accountant. And the saint's like, but who are you? And he was just kept, you know, pounding him. And finally, Naresh, it dawned on him. He goes, you know, I don't know if I know who I am. But I know that in the presence of this saint, I feel something. I feel a little bit of peace. I feel something special. And so he started to explore that deeper in him. And that's what the saints remind us. Through the practice of meditation, we get to explore who are we really? Are we Naresh? Are we an accountant? Are we this person? Are we that? But we begin to discover that we truly are the immortal soul. Okay, we're not the ego. We're not the soul identified with the body, right? We're immortal soul, eternally present, eternally filled with love and joy. And at the end, it's a fun story because Naresh gets it. He goes, you know, I don't know who I am. And the saint says, now we can really begin your lesson, you know. Now that you've let all of that go, let that go, okay? But it's hard. We come with all that we come with, our big backpack, you know, and it's filled with lifetimes, perhaps, of these thoughts and habits and patterns. But, you know, Yogananda reminds us it's a step at a time, one step at a time, moment, take care of the moments, coming together like we do together here in events like this. We're supporting each other. We're reminding each other, yes, there's something else there. So I think I'll end because Daiva will also be sharing. But thank you all for coming this morning. Thank you for being a part of this weekend. Thank you for adding your light and love into this world that so desperately needs it these days. So God bless you all. And may we all journey and rediscover our power and go for it. Okay.
Very nice, thank you. Good morning. It's nice to be together. So I have a question for you. Take a moment and just touch your own center inside. And ask yourself the question, who would I be if I wasn't who I think I am? What would be possible through me? How would goodness express if I didn't have self-definition wrapped around my life? I remember years ago, I've been questing this entire incarnation since the earliest time I can remember. I've been trying to understand, where does wholeness come from? Where does happiness come from? Why do people behave in such loony ways? Why is there so much sadness and hurt and unhappiness in this world? And when I finally was given, after many, many years and much effort, I was finally given Autobiography of a Yogi. And I opened it and I went, I found someone who has what I've been looking for. And it's a compelling read, but it creates more questions than it gives answers. At least that's been my experience of it. Because there's a lot of things that he writes about that aren't familiar to me even yet after 35 years of exploring it. But I knew that what he had, I could feel the quality of it. He had what I was looking for. There was a quality of wholeness, there was a joy, there was a connection with the universe that I'd always hungered for. And there was a meaning in his life that seemed to carry regardless of outer circumstances. And it wasn't that he was immune or cold or careless of outer circumstances. He experienced life more deeply than anyone I've ever met. And I found this to be true also in one of his closest disciples, Swami Kriyananda, that tremendous sensitivity, tremendous perception of every level of human reality, but far beyond human reality, a deeper reality that abides. And I remember asking the question, what would God do? What if I opened the door just right now? I was living in Palo Alto, and my outer life was a mess. And I was living in Palo Alto, and my little daughter was living at the village, and I was trying to commute and trying to pull all the pieces together to just meet the exigencies and demands of life. And I thought one day, I got a late start, and even then, this is 25, 30 years ago, the Bay Area traffic was a nightmare. And I knew that if I started when I could start, which was about 4 o'clock, it wouldn't make much difference than starting at 7:30. I would get to the village about the same time. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to go on an adventure. I don't have anything to do. So I went and grabbed a snack, and I thought, Yogananda, this time is just for you and with you. What would you like to do together? And I pulled up to the gas station to fuel up my little vehicle, and somebody needed money for fuel. So I said, okay, and I offered that. I got down the road about 10 miles, and there had been an accident. And so I stopped, and I helped direct traffic. It had been very fresh. People were okay, but there was traffic mess, so I helped direct traffic for a while. And then the police showed up. I got down the road a little farther, and there was a fire started by the road. And a policeman was out there, a highway patrol was out there with his jacket trying to beat it out, so I helped him for a while. And it was just one thing after another the entire time. And not a single thing was within my bailiwick. I mean, none of this was stuff I was trained for. It didn't fit my self-definition. But I just realized in that little journey that God would use us, life would use us a million different ways all along the way if we were open and we didn't have, well, I don't do that. I'm not qualified. I'm too small. I'm too great. All the self-definition blocks the flow of light. And I've discovered along the way now that often life will ask of us, or God will ask of us, or the Master will ask of us. Pick your word, but that life will bring us into relationship with things that don't fit our little self-definition, and we have to choose. And what we're really choosing, I've discovered, is this an equal part of life? Is this filled with the same possibility for wholeness? Or, as Yogananda would say, can I find joy equally in this circumstance? And if the answer is no, that's the limitation on your connection with Spirit. Because Spirit is omnipresent. Spirit is omnipresent. There is no place and no time where God is closer or farther away than right this minute. And to the degree that we're not feeling that joy, we're not living in it, we're not exuberantly in it, and that's for all of us. I mean, this isn't ivory tower preaching here. We're all, unless we're walking on water, unless we're completely liberated like the Masters, we're all working with something. Some thought in our mind, some commitment in our heart that says, oh, God is everywhere except here. And what the Master does, what life does, if we're sincere about wanting to grow, is life brings us, guess what? The exact circumstances where we think that joy doesn't exist. And then it leaves us there to stew until we finally get the joke. There's a great story in the path. Yogananda was having a bunch of his disciples dig a swimming pool out in the desert. So kind of a fool's errand, and they kind of knew it, but they were game and they were willing. So digging the pool, and then there were these big piles of sand, and it's getting hot, and it's getting late in the day, and they're hungry for lunch, and he comes out and he says, oh, let's level this, let's see if we can level this pile of sand. And, well, it's lunchtime. Well, let's just see if we can level it. So they leveled one, great effort, but they managed to get it done. And then, oh, well, that looks so nice, let's do another one, and let's do another one. And let's do another one. And they could feel themselves facing the question, do I grumble? Do I complain? Is this not right? And finally, Swami Kriyananda, after several of these, and they were really hungry, and it was just, finally Swami Kriyananda got the joke. And he started laughing. And Yogananda said, very good, let's go have lunch. Because life is trying to give us, it's not about the outer duties. Life is trying to set us free. Life is trying to give us back our joy and help us get past the limitations. This world is desperately needful of what? What is it that can cure the ills of this world? This world is desperate. Everywhere you look, it's desperate. What is it that it's desperate for? It's desperate for joy. It's desperate for harmony. It's desperate for love. It's desperate for connection. Not, gosh, if I do these outer things, then it will all be okay, but from right inside. It's desperate for kindness. It's desperate for people who are willing to live in the presence of light, no matter what the outer circumstances. By the way, I found out that there is something that gives the equivalent experience of 2,000 chocolate bars. Yeah. Or the equivalent of receiving $25,000. Anybody want to guess what it is? If you know, don't say. Anybody want to guess what it is? It's a smile. This is scientific research. They have found that the equivalent effect in the brain. Yogananda used to say, be a smile millionaire. He said, when you get up, as you're going through your day, if you can't smile, go into the bathroom, face the mirror, and force the corners of your mouth up, because it has such a profound impact on your consciousness. And that impact on your consciousness affects the world around you. The power that we have, the power that's available to us, can be morphed and applied in many, many ways. But the most effective and most needful application of that power is for people to be willing to live in joy. Isn't that a terrifying thought? Isn't that scary? Most of us are afraid, well, I'll be happy when this happens, but not until. What's being asked is for us to have the courage to live in joy right now in these circumstances and to carry that. And watch what happens. Watch the harmony that builds around us. Watch the response from the nature devas. Watch for the response from the people who are troubled. Watch for the response from the people who are disturbed and restless. When you smile, when you radiate kindness. Yogananda said, be a smile millionaire. And it's the effect of 2,000 chocolate bars, and it's way cheaper. We're going to wrap up. Yeah, no calories. So let's just sit up. Let's just feel. Let's allow ourselves to identify not with the things that we do and are so familiar, but with the joy that underlies all things, so that we can start to allow that light to express through us as it needs, wherever we are, whatever's in front of us, and that we ourselves find ourselves fulfilled in the light and the joy of life and God. This is number 48. Okay. May the Niagara Falls of my heart's joy pour unceasingly upon all that I meet. May that flooding power drown their difficulties. Let their melancholia then be calmed to contentment by moonbeams of my bliss. Oh, I will be a tornado of laughter, lifting up and destroying superstructures of sorrow. Sweeping over endless miles of suffering egos, I will churn up and blow away the troubles from all hearts. In lightning flashes of my mirth, I will swiftly expose to view the panorama of thy beauty, so long obscured in the nocturnal darkness of unseeing, uncaring minds. Bless me, that by a single shaft of my light, the gathering gloom of ages, nurtured in the dark corners of human minds, be put to flight. Through thy grace, even one sudden flash of wisdom will dispel the accumulations of dark error, though it lasted countless millions of years. Let's take a moment.